While hunting in a remote valley, a man suddenly spotted a group of strangers. He calmly removed his hat, dropped his half-burned cigarette on the ground, picked up his hunting rifle, and began firing at the intruders, releasing all the anger he had inside. The remaining people panicked and started running in different directions. But they were in an open valley, with nowhere to hide. For a hunter whose aim was nearly perfect, they were nothing more than moving targets. One man grabbed his wife's hand and tried to run faster with her. But no matter how fast they ran, they could not outrun bullets. In the end, none of them survived. They all collapsed in the desert of that unfamiliar land. The hunter, whose name was Anderson, didn't even take as long as it would have taken him to finish his cigarette. In that short time, he had brutally killed the Mexican migrants. His family had lived near the US-Mexico border for generations, and he had always hated these migrants. He believed they were stealing jobs from local Americans, which he thought was causing unemployment. A few days earlier, he had even reported migrants to the police, but the police dismissed it, saying the border was too long and they didn't have enough patrol officers. This careless response made Anderson even angrier. By coincidence, when he went hunting that day, he encountered the migrants. To release his frustration, he killed them all without mercy. Even after killing them, Anderson felt no regret. He had served in the Afghanistan war, so killing people was nothing new to him. In fact, because of the hatred he felt toward them, he even felt proud and excited about what he had done. Just then, outside, his hunting dogs began barking loudly in one direction. Anderson immediately got out of his vehicle, raised his rifle, and looked through his 8x zoom scope. In the distance, he saw some people moving on the hills. It looked like another group of migrants. Having had a bit of alcohol, Anderson felt even more aggressive. He called his dog back into the truck and drove towards the location where he had spotted the people. In reality, these migrants were part of the same group that had been attacked earlier. Because they were walking slower, they had fallen behind and had witnessed their companions being killed. Now they were running desperately across rough mountain paths, trying to save their lives. They already knew crossing the border was dangerous, but they never imagined it would be this terrifying. Soon, Anderson caught up with them, using his pickup truck, but the road ahead was too rough for vehicles. So he stopped the truck and began chasing them on foot with his dog. The hunting dog was extremely fast, and it was only a matter of time before it caught them. The man running in front, Mike, sensed the danger. He stopped for a moment and looked back in fear. Then he urged everyone to run faster, because the dog was getting closer. But a man with 2 legs cannot outrun a dog with 4. Suddenly, one man's bag fell to the ground. Even with death approaching, he turned back to pick it up. That moment made him fall behind the others. The dog attacked him first. A young woman wanted to turn back to help him, but Mike stopped her. Going back would only mean another death. The man quickly died from the dog's attack. Seeing this, Anderson realized the man was already dead. He whistled, signaling the dog to continue chasing the remaining people. Now Mike and his companions pushed themselves to run toward the mountain peak. They knew if the dog caught them, their bodies would also be left on that barren land. This time, luck was on their side. Before the dog reached them, they managed to climb a large tree beside a rock which blocked the dog's path. However, the danger wasn't over. The dog was clever. When it realized it couldn't climb the tree, it began searching for another way. Meanwhile, Anderson was even more aggressive than his dog. To get a better view, he climbed onto a huge rock, the highest point in the area, from where everything was clearly visible. He saw his dog running quickly, while Mike and his companions crossed a pile of rocks. But now a deep ravine stood in their way. Jumping down could cause serious injury. However, Terrified of the dog and Anderson's rifle behind them, a man named Curly jumped down without thinking. Mike followed him, and then the girl jumped as well. From the rock, Anderson heard the dog barking and identified their location. Without hesitation, he fired a shot. Mike immediately ducked and moved behind a rock. By the time Anderson aimed again, they had disappeared. The remaining 3 people ran into another valley. Anderson followed them there with his pickup truck. To make sure he didn't lose the route, he even studied a map, showing how careful he was as a hunter. He released the dog to chase them from behind, while he drove to block their path from the other end of the valley. The 3 migrants didn't realize they had already fallen into Anderson's trap. They believed that once they crossed the valley, they would finally escape. But as they reached the exit, they saw Anderson's truck waiting there. They immediately turned back, but the hunting dog was coming from the other side. They were trapped from both directions. With no other choice, they began climbing the valley wall. Luckily, the slope wasn't too steep, and they reached higher ground before the dog arrived. The dog couldn't jump that high and could only bark angrily below. Soon Anderson arrived there after hearing the barking. He climbed the hill and continued chasing them. Mike and his companions slowly moved along a narrow path beside the cliff. Curly, who was walking at the back, panicked when he saw Anderson getting closer. His foot slipped, and he fell off the mountain. Mike quickly grabbed the girl and hid in a cave-like gap between the rocks. Anderson placed his rifle down and climbed down toward Curly because he knew Curly was not dead yet. After a moment, a gunshot echoed. Hearing it, the 2 people hiding above trembled with fear but remained completely silent. Anderson never discovered their hiding place and eventually left with his dog. Seeing the condition of their fallen companion made Mike deeply saddened. Out of their team of nearly 20 people, only 2 of them were left alive. Now Mike and the girl wandered helplessly in the desert. Night soon fell. The events of the day had exhausted them both physically and mentally. The girl revealed that she never wanted to leave her home, but drug cartels had completely taken over her city. Her parents feared the traffickers might harm her, so they gave her money to travel with the group to America and try for a better life. But she never imagined she would face death on the journey. Mike had actually lived in America before. He had a beautiful wife and a son. But one day, when he passed a police car, the police falsely accused him of breaking the car's light. He was arrested and sent to a detention center, and after being released, he was deported from the country. To reunite with his wife and son, he chose to cross the border illegally. Now, seeing their terrible situation, they could only pray to God to escape safely. The next morning, while returning from outside, the girl suddenly noticed Anderson's pickup truck parked at the bottom of the mountain. She quickly told Mike